it's hard to find qualified people to specialize.
Are we live? Good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, December 9th, 2025. And good evening, everyone. It is p.m. And I will call to order the final regular meeting of the Millwood City Council for 2025. Kenzie, can we do a roll call of council members?
Sure. Councilmember Vesey? Here. Councilmember Culler?
Present.
Councilmember Sander?
Present.
Councilmember Stravens?
Here.
And Councilmember Van Hees.
I am here.
Woo. So let the record reflect that we have a quorum. All 5 council members are present. Councilmember Van Hees is virtual tonight. And so at this time, pledge of allegiance. Ms. Seifert, as our newest council member coming in, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. And so, at this time, does any council member wish to make any changes, addendums, or movement to tonight's agenda? Not seeing or hearing any, do I have a motion on approval of the meeting agenda for tonight?
Move approval of tonight's agenda as presented.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Tonight's agenda is approved unanimously. Thank you very much. And so we have one report presentation tonight. This is regarding an interlocal memorandum of understanding between Spokane County jurisdictions regarding homelessness services. And here to present tonight is Mr. Chud Wendell on behalf of the group that has begun to pull together. Ms. Wendell, please.
Thank you, Mayor Freeman and council members. It's a pleasure to be here. This is my first official Millwood City Council meeting to attend. And I want to start with, I'm with the HUD settlement, and I just want to say a thank you. Millwood embraces us, and it's truly an honor and a privilege to be part of this community. We're in the middle of our Christmas tree sale. We'll wrap it up hopefully by Friday. But Millwood, no matter what it is, whether it's fundraisers or supporting our Christmas tree sale or supporting our kids, you rally behind it, so thank you. 106 years of it, so we're honored to be here. This is a little different, but in some ways similar. Back in July 24th, the President issued an executive order entitled Ending Crime and Disorder on American Streets. And really the essence of this executive order was trying to shift some of the funding from Housing First projects to Treatment First projects. And so at that time, we felt there was a group of us, Sheriff Knowles, prosecuting attorney at the time, I think he was still interim, but then fully appointed later, Preston McCollum, and then a developer in town, Sheldon Jackson, myself, began, along with Councilmember Jonathan Bingo from the City Council, on creating this memo of understanding. And really the intent, it's non-binding, there is no financial commitment to by any of the jurisdictions. It's purely an agreement that we're in good faith going to come together and really focus on supporting that executive order through this memo of understanding and focusing on the treatment first. I've had the honor to work on a brand new task force. It's called the Safe and Healthy Task Force. It's put together, it was led by the 4 different business agencies, Empire Health, Downtown, Greater Spokane Incorporated, Greater Spokane Valley Chamber, and Downtown Spokane Partnership. And really where it started was when memorandum, Measure 1 failed a couple years ago. That was the measure for the jail. And so they brought together they convened a group that were working together on trying to really understand what we have in the county, what do we need, and then we have a couple of North Stars out there that are really focused on trying to address the underlying issues that we're dealing with, and a lot of it has to center around mental health and addiction challenges. And so that task force is working, and we're going in one direction with the hope that in May we'll have some type of proposal that we'll be bringing back to you. Unrelated to this MOU sort of coincides with it, and it's really truly right now we have the City of Liberty Lake, City of Airway Heights, and there's one other community that we have that have signed it. And we're just making the rounds, going around. I'm not a professional, I'm not getting paid for this. I still am out of HUD settlement, but I believe in this enough to where I wanted to join forces, and that's why I'm here tonight. So I'd answer any questions. I know that probably doesn't take too deep. Hopefully you had a copy of it. If you have any questions of that MOU, I would be welcome to those questions.
Questions for Chad at this time? So I appreciate you coming out, and council will take this under consideration. It would be open for them to act on at the January meeting, but I think folks here understand that the lack of financial commitment, but more a statement of the jurisdictions in the city that this is the option for those who choose to sign on to this MOU, those who choose to sign on it, that this is we need to consider treatment first as, an alternative or as equally as important as housing first, et cetera.
And I will say, HUD's come out recently, we're just talking about it, and there's going to be a shift. I mean, they want to shift funds, and so places where they're heavily focused and invested in housing first, I think we're going to see some challenges with funding. Thank you. Thanks for your
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. I think it's past due here, so let's keep moving forward.
All right.
Thank you.
Keep going great. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out this evening. So that is the end of our presentations tonight. We have no other presentations, and so I will ask on item number 6, public comments. Considering our action items. Any? No public comments. I don't think we have a need for an executive session tonight. So that's that. So our action items for our first reading or continued discussion tonight. First is the interlocal MOU regarding homelessness services. You just saw the presentation from Chud Wendell, and so my understanding is that the idea is that for this to be as I said, a statement to basically legislators, other electeds in the area, regional folks that treatment first and allocation of resources to those treatment first and promoting that is as equally as important as promoting housing first, etc. But I will leave that to folks' ability to read this over and determine if you want to take further action on this, and go forward from there. If you have any questions with both myself and Shauna here, I would say at this point begin directing questions to Shauna if there's more contact that you want from this group. I believe Gavin Cooley is also involved in this, so I think Gavin would also be more than happy to come on out and talk if there's other considerations or things like that.
I'd say let's pursue this.
Agreed.
We'll get back in January.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Anything else on this? All right, so we move on for this. 2026 water and sewer rates. Just to keep this on the radar, I did have a few thoughts on this. Folks were talking about some ideas with some ways of basically for water and sewer rates, the sewer rate will have an adjustment for the treatment charges per the interlocal agreement. That's written in, that's a given. The question for the council in January would be on sewer rates, do you want to take any sort of capital contribution charge for sewer. So, yes.
So I agree with the philosophy of why we could, if I could just share my 2 cents. I agree with the philosophy clearly about the looking at the consumption rates, but we are gonna go through a comprehensive charge looking at this next year. We also think we're on the eve of signing on a brand new big time change to our water system. I personally think that we should make whatever necessary adjustments under our current pricing philosophy for this year so that we can collect data and be able to parse apart what is because of this and what is because of this other thing. And when we do go into a potential new charge philosophy, we would have actual data, not just doing it in the next 2 to 3 weeks, trying to figure out and not really having thought through it. That's my 2 cents.
I agree completely. I think it makes lots of sense to do it that way.
So just to throw that out there, and then the same thing from the water side of things, it's that idea of, as Shauna was saying, it's that idea of if you're going to accept or can come to an agreeable resolution on wholesaling water, then that can be factored into what's going to happen with rates in January. Otherwise, you're going to have to consider what you're going to address for capital charges on the water side of things. So it's just some things to think about. I don't have any good ideas on models because, as Shauna said, there's not really maybe potential in investing a lot of effort into figuring this out now, depending on kind of what lays out in front of you as you move forward into 26. So, but it is something that if council has, and I'll just ask this now, if council has any thoughts or ideas between now and the next meeting on things they want to look at, same deal, reach out to myself or Shauna, and that way, if it's something that Welch needs to answer on certain things, Welch can be directed to get that information back together.
Thank you.
Alright, so that is our items for consideration or continued discussion, and so that brings us, first reading or continued discussion. So that brings us to our action items for consideration tonight. First is our consent agenda, and we have a number of items in here. First is the special meeting minutes for November 2025. Second is the reappointment of Chris Major to the Historic Preservation Commission. Third is the appointment of Mackenzie Roderick to the city clerk and public records official's position because Ms. Castle will be departing at the end of the month, so we are, you're leaving? That's a surprise. So there is that. Item 4 is the appointment of Mr. Shiwi to the title of Public Works Director. And that comes about because there are some things with WashDOT and TIB and some things in signatories that we do need a designated public works director. This is something that I have kind of keep thinking about it and then I forget about it. And I'm not trying to slide this in under the radar. I mean, if you guys want to pull this one out and do it later, but you're going to need a public works director, and this was on my watch. I should have brought this to you a long time ago. Number 5, and a big thank you to Ms. Beasy and Mr. Culler for their charge on this.
And Dave Armstrong.
And Mr. Armstrong, thank you all. The appointment of Lynn Schraff to city treasurer. Ms. Schraff has accepted the job offer and has everything's good?
I didn't get the report back yet, but I'm anticipating tomorrow.
So,
Let's throw the pre-plan.
but the confirmation of there are 2 parts of the confirmation. First is the pass of a background check for the obtaining a treasurer's bond. Second is council confirmation that she would be appointed to the position of city treasurer. Both of those need to happen. So we are asking that council make the appointment to city treasurer tonight. Number 6, based on if you make that appointment, is the change to the Banner Bank authorized account signers, which would be adding Ms. Schraff so that she may January 1 and be an authorized signer as the city treasurer. 7 in your packet is the mayor pro tem rotation schedule for 2026, and that does include Ms. Seifert in that role. And then the 2027 November treasurer's report, the November claims, and the November payroll. So as always, would any council member like to take any of those items separately tonight? I don't hear anything from Andy, so I'll say seeing or hearing none. Do I have a motion on the consent agenda tonight as presented?
I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none opposed, the consent agenda is approved unanimously, so I will say congratulations to Ms. Roderick on her appointment to clerk and public records official. I will say congratulations to Ms. Schraff on her confirmation by the city council as city treasurer. And congratulations to Ms. Yushiwi.
All yours.
I got the name right. Just and his appointment to Public Works Director. So thank you all very much, and a great way to start 2026. So with that complete, that brings us to a public hearing regarding Ordinance 553, a telecommunications franchise agreement with Forged Fiber 37 LLC. Mr. Worst.
Yes, sorry, had the page marked. So we did publish a public notice of public hearing in connection with the proposed franchise agreement. This is the agreement with some of the cleanups that had been noted at prior meetings presented. Substantively, it is the same franchise agreement that we have in place for other franchisees, other utilities of similar utilities in the city. I guess happy to answer any questions of the council, but otherwise would ask to go ahead and open the public hearing and accept any comments to the extent there are any.
Are there any questions to Mr. Worst from the council regarding the agreement prior to opening the hearing? So seeing or hearing no questions to the council, it is 6:29, and I will open the public hearing on the franchise agreement for Forged Fiber 37. First call for public comments. There were no public comments. Second call for public comment or for testifiers or speakers. Third and final call for Forged Fiber. Seeing or hearing none, I will close the public hearing at 6:30. And so at this time, I would look for direction or motion from the council.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 553.
Is there a second?
Go ahead.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Seeing or hearing no discussion, all those in favor of ordinance 553, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, ordinance 553 is approved unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We will first send that to Forged Fiber for signature, and then we will get to the mayor's signature thereafter. So I'll work with Mackenzie. Okay.
So that brings us to ordinance 555, the 2026 city budget. Mr. Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kenzie, if you pop that up there, we'll just get going. This is ordinance 555, the adoption of the 26 Millwood city budget. Prior to that, I want to spend 5 minutes on an item that you're somewhat used to year to year, and that is the 2025 budget amendment. I wanna spend a little bit of time and go through my research on it. If you go to the next slide. In the BARS manual and the state auditor's office website, there is a 2.4.3.40, government cannot spend more than the amount budgeted. New information becomes available about you can increase your budget. I contacted MRSC and they came back with budget amendments are required if the city's gonna exceed its appropriations, which is your expenditures. If you're not, it's all silent. If you're not planning on exceeding your expenditures, it's silent. So, as long as you're adopting, however you're adopting your budget, fund level, line item, the whole thing, that's how, that's where you would amend any of your budgets. I have never, that's a bad word, never amended a budget downward. You've not exceeded your appropriations, you've not exceeded, and it is not foreseen to exceed for the year 2025. Your appropriations, your budgeted expenditures, so it is not required, it is not necessary to adopt a budget amendment downward. So I pulled up, if you pop to the next screen, ordinance 546, last year's 2025 budget, total expenditures of $6.7 million. That is about the fourth column, and the budget from last year 6.8, and I have forecasted through the end of the year 6.1. But you adopt at the fund level, so I had to go and look at each fund. So your general fund was 5.7. I've estimated 5.5. I've looked at it 3 different ways and come up with the similar numbers. You'll be under appropriations, and in the utility fund, you'll also be under appropriations. I came to the conclusion it would be time and energy spent for something that's not necessary and not required. And this is why you don't have a 2025 budget amendment. It doesn't matter what happens, it's not wrong to amend it down, but it takes time and energy to do that. Time is money, so I chose not to, ran it by the mayor, and we agreed to bring it forward that way, okay? That was any conversation, questions, comments? Okay, now we'll move on to the actual ordinance 555, the 2026 Milwaukee City budget. Just for review, we went through the levy rate calculation, 2 public hearings, submitted it officially to Spokane County November 20th. We had 2 public hearings on the actual full budget. It is in the packet that is in your hands, and every line that shows 24, 25's budget to 25's expected, and then the 26 budget. So ordinance 555 is adopting, if flip the slide, at the fund level, the general fund level estimated revenues, but you're really approving the expenditures of $4.427 million out of the general fund number 1, and out of the utility fund, $1.13 million, so a total of $5.6 million of expenditures. That is less than last year's, basically because of the Oregon Road Improvement Project. Revenues are a little bit down. We're saying, well, actually, the revenues will be up because we've got a lag between reimbursement funds from WashDOT. So that's what 555 is, the adoption of the budget and the capital project list that's on the next slide. And I will leave that to comments, questions, and then a motion or a vote on your budget. Yes, ma'am.
So we had a midsummer projection and we were 12% over budget. So how did we then go so far below budget? I mean, I'm not looking at gift course, and then I agree with the assessment. We shouldn't make a formal, but that does feel like
it's
a big.
With that big road project, it would be difficult for me to give you an answer. Most of your expenditures for that came in afterwards. after your 6:30 or whatever you got the projection, I don't recall doing one. But the farther you get through, the closer you get to actual numbers.
Well, I understand that, but swings of
Might have been
20% or 15% of your budget is like, wow.
I can say that we had budgeted at the end of 2024, we had budgeted based on the original engineer's estimate for Ardon. And the bid came in
2.4.
which was less than the engineer's estimate.
2.6 was the engineer's estimate. It came in at 2.4. We've had a few change orders and increases, but not enough to make it that big of an increase.
So our actual expenses coming in have been greater or much less because we're still carrying over into next year.
That would be nice.
Much less than what to begin with. We were almost $200,000 under what our original projection was. Plus, we still have these charges that are coming through, bouncing through,
carrying over to
to next year. So it is a lag there. I would say that's probably the most significant.
That feels like an explanation.
I think I recall the last treasurer saying something about leaving us a little fat in that fund in case things came up, and we were already, right at the engineer's budget or a little bit over. So
Credit to our public works staff for managing that well and keeping on top of folks to make them hold to the numbers. Any other questions for Dave? So on this ordinance, we do have one amendment that we do need to make. It is on Exhibit A of Ordinance 555. Because and it comes from the change in the appointing Mr. Shibley to Public Works Director. We need to change Street and Facility Manager, the title there, the position, to Public Works Director. So that would simply be almost, I won't say it's a scrivener's error, but we are making a title change that we would amend that for the actual final ordinance to be signed. Didn't want to make that change till we had the confirmation from council for there. But that would just simply flip that position title. So I would propose that as it's not a friendly amendment, is it?
It's formal amendment.
Formal amendment to ordinance 555. No last questions, so if there are no questions, do I have a motion on ordinance 555 as presented, or as amended?
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 555 as amended to update the street and facilities manager title to Public Works Director in Exhibit A.
Also.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, ordinance 555 is approved unanimously. Thank you all very much, and Dave, thank you for your very hard work on this. We do appreciate it. And so that brings us to action item D, which is telecommunications interlocal agreement with Broadlink LLC, otherwise known as the Spokane Regional Broadband Development Authority. Mr. Wurst.
Substantively, same agreement that came before the council last time. You'll see in the packet, there's some red lines that were cleanups. That was from the draft that we got from Broadlink before. These have been approved by Broadlink, the director, as well as the legal counsel for Broadlink. But do not have any questions. This is really just more of a planning document that would allow the city to be a participant in and help with the development of quality broadband within the city, which is being installed through Broadlink and in other areas of the community and the county.
Any questions for Mr. Wurst? If there's questions, do I have a motion or direction on execution of the interlocal agreement?
Move adoption of the interlocal agreement between the city of Millwood and Broadlink.
Is there a second?
A second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing or hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none opposed, the agreement, with the interlocal agreement with Broadlink is approved by council, incorporating the red line changes that were presented. And at that point, we will execute said agreement for return to Broadlink. So that brings us to item E, the interlocal agreement for wholesale of municipal water to Urban Water District. At this time, we are not asking for action on this agreement. We have at the table before you an update to the interlocal agreement Exhibit A, which is the wholesale water rates and billing. We've heard back through council some comments on the last agreement that was proposed. And so this is incorporating some reasonable requests from what we believe some reasonable requests or justifiable requests from Urban was. First is some basically clearing up, there was confusion regarding the lumped base rate. So Irvin would rather it be broken as a consumptive rate and as a capital contribution charge rate, not have it lumped together. For the consumptive rate is subject to two adjustments. One is the adjustment per the consumer price index, and Irvin, and through their rate setting consultant, has asked that we consider staying with the CPI-U West Class BC. And the reasons for that is that they have provided this information is that fuels rate is one, very volatile. That energy and fuels rate is very volatile, and it just kind of bounces all around, all over the place. And basically, their also opinion is that because that is a part of the overall BCU, that it is considered in there. And so, because we are not specifically just adjusting the energy portion of the consumptive rate, if we are including in the consumptive rate the entire parameter, we should use the entire parameter of BC. I'm not an economist, but in talking to folks, it seems to be a legitimate request, and it is actually very much cleaner. The CPI-U West BC is a little more stable, doesn't fluctuate as much. The second is the clear definition that the utility modification rate from Avista be applied strictly to the consumptive rate, not to the capital charge. And second, that the definition of what constitutes a percent change be clear. You have been given, as part of your work, as part of the packet, a nice long Excel table that shows 10 years of Avista rate charges or rate changes. And basically the energy rate changes, the energy charge is broken into three components. The first 85 kilowatt hours, the next 85 kilowatt hours of demand up to 3,000 kilowatts, and then all additional kilowatts from there. And so those constitute three parameters. Their economist was basically, or their rate consultants were basically, we have three parameters. We would like to see 5%, the threshold, instead of being 10%, 5%, 5%, 5%. If they go over 5%, all three of them, then you would be able to take the special charge and or the special adjustment. And that constitutes, if you look through there are two events where Avista raised their energy charge rate such that it exceeds 15%. And most of the charges there are under 10% anyway. There's only one rate increase, and that was in 2024, and that was that 14.1%. And that was the rate increase that was specifically tagged to the wildfires. So that was a strange rate increase, but basically you don't have charges that exceed the 10% regularly. I'm throwing that out for council consideration. We're not asking you to vote on it tonight, but it does incorporate what the spirit of that is to basically really look and determine if there has been an unusual rate increase by Avista that is unforeseen. And you'll notice in there that there are times that the rate does go down by once in there in 2022 it went down by 16%. It does increase more than it decreases, obviously, but it preserves the idea that if Avista does something that is unforeseen or outside the bounds of what would be considered inflationary increases, that we retain that ability to capture or amend our rate to take into account that power, that change in energy charge. So that is kind of where we're at. If you'll see on the capital contribution charge, then we specifically say on the capital contribution charge, we apply only CPI-U West BC. So we are basically have two charges, the consumptive rate charge, capital contribution charge, both of them increase annually by the CPI-U West BC inflation rate. And the consumptive rate also has the ability to increase, we have that ability to increase that if Avista energy charges increase greater than 15% of the sum of some percent change of the total energy charges. That's where we're at. So what I would say is, right now, council should take this back and think about it and see where we're at. There is a lot of desire by Irvin, and in some respects, I would imagine by the council, to figure out if this is gonna fly by the time rates get set for both us, for Irvin. Also, as we've been discussing in past meetings, there is a desire for Irvin to determine if they have the ability to include wholesale water in their updated water system plan. And there are the adjustments that will be following to the consolidated water system plan that they also need to factor in. And all that stuff starts early in 2026. The city may be asked between now and December 31st if there might be the opportunity for a special meeting, if we can get there for something like this where an agreement comes about. So what I would say is, please consider this. If you have comments or questions after you get a chance to digest it, filter it back to here and we'll keep them informed. Happy to take questions where we are now. One of the things we don't have some clarity is Irvin has their board meeting today pretty much at the same time too, so they're also talking about the agreement as well. Ms. Beasy.
So I know that there's no red lines in the minimum and maximum, but for some reason my head remembers it being 800 acre, whatever the unit is. That was our break even where there's a burden to our system and there was a times 2 year or times 2.
That's
Oh, okay, I was like.
Yeah, no, it's down in the
And
capital.
I'm like, where did we get to
You got
1,000?
it. You got it. It's down in the.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's down in the capital contribution charge. That portion of the agreement still stays in there. If they exceed 800 acre feet a year for 2 calendar years, then the city reserves the right to go back and renegotiate the capital contribution charge. The first part of that says you can take up to 1,000, you get to purchase up to 1,000 feet, and you can provide notice up to 1,300 feet. But down in that capital contribution charge, if you get to 800 feet, the city reserves the right to say, we want to go back and renegotiate the capital contribution charge.
Has it always been under Article 5 under duration that they can unilaterally dissolve this with 30 days notice, but we are not permitted to ever resolve this? That's always been there, okay, must have been under.
Do you have a response to that?
Yes, yeah, the duration hasn't changed since the last draft that came.
So should we be concerned about that? Because we were in a long time ILA where it became very expensive for our provider to provide services. And we enjoyed many years where we were being provided services at less than their cost.
You saying you don't want us to become the county? I would agree with that assessment.
So could we put a provision in there that the city shall not sell water at a loss?
Or
I mean-
like even a term of like, the times 1 year we'll take a loss because something was variable, but then it triggers a
Yes.
renegotiation.
Like over 2 years or something. I just don't want to be stuck in the future if we
20 years.
if we have to do PFAS filtering or something where providing water becomes cost prohibitive at these rates. I'm all for being a good faith partner with Urban, and I'm sure they'll understand, but we cannot tie our hands to these rates forever in perpetuity.
I would argue it should be a year trigger. I think that if we were taking a loss for a year, I don't even think 2 years is fair.
Well,
I think there has to be a balance, because what has to happen then is they are gonna have to have the opportunity to look for another purveyor, because
Okay, that's
because with all that, with amending the water system plans and everything like that, they're gonna have to go out and they're gonna have to go, okay, where am I gonna get the water from, all this sort of stuff.
That's gonna
Could
be
it say like a
triggers.
year trigger to and another year of being able to make that change? What I don't wanna do is just sit around for 2 years absorbing an exorbitant cost because of something that we don't even know future wise that we're gonna have to monitor.
well, and they do have a unilateral exit on this.
Exactly,
If they
30
can
days.
no, but they have to be able to find another provider. So it's not as easy for them to get out either.
And that's gonna be difficult.
But I'm just saying, we wanna negotiate in good faith with Urban,
Yeah,
but we wanna protect ourselves in the future.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good idea. And I like the 1 year loss. And I think the other thing is, most of the, we can have an emergency, but most of these things are gonna take more than, I don't need to say it, but if we have a PFAS issue, it's gonna take more than a year to expend we'll have to spend some engineering money, but major construction costs will be more than a year anyway, so.
yeah,
And giving them over a year to even adjust, that's 24 months, we could potentially be absorbing it.
I think 24 months, I think the idea that's thrown out there of after a year, if you're at a loss, it's like we either get the rate right, or you get a year to get yourself together and go, because they still, I think Dan could speak to this, finding someone, amending a water system plan, hooking everything up.
I think the other factor is, and I don't know how about, there isn't a Spokane office anymore, but the last water system plan we submitted in August of '24 still hasn't been approved by DOH. Now they've had some picky comments that were not appropriate. But
In whose eyes, Dan?
they finally agreed to agree.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta change the color of the stars on the map. You know?
It's the old consultant average. If you're not part of the solution, there's plenty of money to be made from prolonging the problem.
So at any rate, the other question, so CPI, we had it tied to fuels.
We had it tied to energy, not fuels, energy. So and this is part of their argument. If you look at that, there's like 3 different breakdowns and they don't always record the same number, and sometimes they get dated. Sometimes once they get to that granularity, it gets really noisy down there because you're looking and there's CPI US energy, which is CPI US fuel, and then electricity, and then and then natural gas, and they had it all kind of broken out, and then they try to lump it, and then they take all of that and roll it up. And I guess the comment back from their person, as I said, was you're applying it to the entire. You're applying that specific granular charge to the entire lumped
Energy sector.
consumption.
Oh yeah.
The supply thing. If you're gonna, otherwise, you need to apply the granular charge just to the electricity cost, or you apply the big charge, the lump charge to the lump charge. Apples to apples, oranges to oranges. And here's the thing. It would be a real burden for us to try, it would be a real burden for the city to try and figure out exactly what our energy costs were for an annual energy cost, given the fact that we would have to break it down into 3 buckets and say, okay, what was our first 30, what was our first 85, what was our second 80, what was our third additional. So it just seemed to be, if you guys don't like it, you don't like it, but I can see the thing where they were like, you're taking this charge and applying it to this, you should either do this or do this.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the CPI-U West Class BC, that city is under 2.5 million.
Yes.
Okay. And that seems appropriate.
That is and actually on the consulting side, and I know you as the realtor, you have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you go for just CPI-U West with the A cities, you get all of the Seattle and Portland and Spokane or San Francisco, all that.
Right.
If you go with CPI-U Pacific, which is more us, not California, that's it also very expensive because Seattle throws everything out of whack. If you go with CPI Mountain, then it's really low because then you get the labor data drives so much of it, and that Intermountain labor pool out of Boise and all that really depresses that low. So CPI-U BC seems to be the best reflection of what costs are in our area where we're tied to Olympia, but we also get we get more of the Idaho and mountain side of things. So yeah, it works that way.
Okay, sounds good.
Shauna.
So back to what Shauna and I were talking about the triggering if there's a loss. That's not just if there's a PFAS thing. That's also if this model. Oh, I know because I mean we're agonizing about these things, because I know I was like, oh my gosh, 15% instead of 10% the last one, and then But the truth is, if we have that fail safe, then I feel more comfortable moving forward because these are all unknowns. This is a model. Mm-hmm. We actually don't know what it's going to do, once it starts getting driven. Mm-hmm. So I think that, like what Sean said, this is a really good faith effort. I think the mayor has done some really great risk mitigation. I would feel sick if we didn't have an out because I'm not confident in all these numbers are perfect. But if we have that reasonable, hey, if there's a trigger, now we're starting a new conversation, I think that that's a very reasonable.
And
And can I just piggyback, because you just said exactly what I wanted to say, which is we might not have an out of the contract, but we certainly have a renegotiation, because as we're in year 15 of this contract, we've been providing them water, they've been providing water to they're not the comprehensive water plan will not be amended to otherwise stop, but what we need to do is have a reset of the economic and financial considerations to ensure that it meets our city code, which is no loss to the city. So yeah, I think that's what you were.
Yeah, no, I know we don't just turn it off, but I mean, these are a lot of numbers that we're just trusting. And like even Avista, I see you did a great historical chart, but we know for a fact they're going to the state next year to try and do unprecedented things. So I mean, you know, it sounded like what was in the press release. So I mean, to me, we want to make sure that there's a way to revisit it, not get stuck in the county situation.
well, that is definitely a fair consideration. Is we are committed because of their need. We are committed to supplying them water. They are committed. They are putting their faith that we will continue to deliver this amount of water to them. However, we as a city also need that ability that says, look, we can't give you water for a loss. And you have wanted some very specific rate structure in here that you are desirous of. We are willing to work with you on that, but we also need some assurances that should outside market forces change our status and what we have, we need that ability to bring everybody back to the table and say, here's the current conditions. You guys want this? Otherwise. So no, that's perfectly fair, and Brian can reach out to Aaron and discuss that as well.
Just to clarify my understanding, the what used to be the point whatever, they separated it, so now that's a 0.38 for the consumption and then a 0.10 for capital. Councilmember Sanders, you mentioned perhaps we need to follow up with this to ensure that that actually ends up in the designated fund for the capital improvements, and that it's not just something that we're collecting all this money and then it never actually. Is that my understanding?
Yeah, and so
we always have that option to change our mind.
For sure.
But I think when the check comes in, from the county, middle of the last month.
So Kinsey is also working with Springbrook, because if one of the things you consider as the council is going with changing the capital fee model for the city as a whole from a fixed per connection to a consumption base, what we're trying to do is figure out, based on the tiers, can we take that money and know exactly, like somebody uses a bunch of water, they've generated this much, can we move that? Can we track all this stuff? So we are actively figuring out from the billing side of things, how do we track these things in Springbrook? And then that would give the council, regardless of what we're doing with it, that would give what the city does with it, that would give the council the ability through ordinance to say X amount of this, or however we do it, it goes to a managerial fund, it goes to the capital fund.
And depending on how we make that decision and how that's documented, it doesn't need to be down to the dollar, but it does. I think that my point is, regardless, we're going to charge more for capital. At the end of the year, we need to make a best guess of what we put into capital,
and yes,
and not just roll it over in operations.
Because if you, as we've talked about, to just kind of flop to something else, as we talked about with the capital charge for residents or for in city, we talked about setting that up and saying, okay, rather than charge the per connection, we add the multiplier on top of that. There seemed to be some level of, maybe heartburn or things like that. we're also having Kinsey look at talking to Springbrook. Do you have the option of potentially having 2 tiers where it's simply consumption, and then if you get to tier 3 or tier 4, the higher tiers, where you're using more, now you're going to pay not just the extra consumption cost, but now you're gonna pay extra for capital. How much is that capital you're paying, and can we take out of that, let's say it's 50 cents a 100 cubic foot, and you wanna charge an extra nickel on top of that, so 55, do we have the ability to say 50 cents here, a nickel here, based on those consumptions? And so bring council back some ideas on that to be able to track these sorts of things. And then you could reinstate a nominal capital fee per connection if you wanted. So it would be fixed fee for a low fixed rate for capital per connection. And then if you blow through the roof and decide you're gonna use 10 acre feet in July to keep your yard spongy, you're gonna pay for that extra capital because you put that burden on the system. But a lot of that has to do with what is our ability in our billing system to capture those sorts of costs in there.
So based off of this contract, we already kind of know because Kelly did the good math for us on record last time. And so we knew that approximately, if we got to the highest level, there would be approximately $38,000 that would be capitalized. Is there a possibility for us to act on that for 2026? Make sure that approximate 30-something thousand makes it to capital, and then iron out this stuff that is for our own citizens as part of the natural looking at a comprehensive rate change, because I don't think we should try to agonize about making those big changes by January.
You could through ordinance, because what you'll have, what I would suggest, I'm not gonna say you have to do it, as part of the rate resolution for 26, you would want to define a wholesale rate class. You could, in that resolution, say of that wholesale rate class, X amount, or X amount, a nickel per 100 or a dime per 100 cubic foot goes to the capital fund. And then by resolution, that would be tracked and would be by resolution delivered into that capital fund as part of the resolution. But you'll have that flexibility setting the resolution, because you will want to establish a wholesale rate class.
I understand we need to establish a wholesale rate class because we're about to wholesale, but does that need to apply to our actual citizens in 2026? Because we know that they're treated different. They have connections. We only have one connection, which is the whole reason why we got down into this consumption rate.
No, it doesn't apply to everybody. It says for the wholesale rate, the capital charge is sent to whatever the capital manager, the water system or water capital fund. I know we have one set up somewhere. We have one fund.
No, you have a capital fund. You got an operating fund and a capital fund.
So there is a water capital fund.
And you can put any number of line items in that capital fund.
So you could in that resolution say from the capital, from the rates taken as part of the wholesale, for the fees taken from the wholesale, 1 cent per 100 cubic foot generated goes to the capital fund.
So I'm just gonna leave it here. The problem I'm trying to mitigate, instead of getting into the details, is we didn't change rates for 15 years and we changed them twice last year. Very unpopular. We're about to do it again in January, and we're not gonna have the data in order to convert to this consumption rate. I personally think for our citizens, 3 changes in literally 13 months when we haven't done anything for 15 years is kind of enough, unless there's a legal reason we can't, because we're doing this other thing, we have to. And then it allows us to carefully think through and analyze the potential permanent new rate structure, because part of the reason why we had to do 2 changes last year is we took best guess in January and then we had to revise it. So I mean, to me, there's that we're setting, Am I incorrect in that?
The rates that were revised last year were the sewer rates. And that was because we needed to change the way that we calculated our
Do
winter
you remember
usage.
this super?
Yeah, we set the water rates in January and we did not change
never
those.
changed those?
The changes last
Okay,
year.
well then that's a clarification I need to start making.
The changes last year were because the sewer rates for winter consumption were off. And we needed to get in line with what was in the new interlocal agreement because it was a different rate period. We needed to calculate it the way it was set up in the interlocal agreement, et cetera. And that is why we did the rate revision that we did. The second rate revision, it did apply only to sewer, and it was in response to basically the people that got kind of tagged with that were commercial more than residential because it did affect the residential, it affected the commercial users, not the residential users, because the residential users, their stuff was figured the right way because it's figured on one ERU.
I thank you for the clarity. I will make it out there. But I'm telling you, there's a perception there that, hey, my water bill never changed. And you guys kept changing it multiple times last year.
And yes, the bill, I think the thing is that the bill is the utility bill,
Gotcha.
not just the water bill.
That's fair.
It's the sewer bill as well. So yes, we had to monkey with the sewer. We didn't have to monkey with the water.
Thank you.
Except it changes because I use more water in July than I do in April.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, but I think people understand that.
So we the city will reach back out with Mr. Culler and Ms. Vesey's suggestion regarding the request that we change our term for the conditions of contract continuation, and we'll get that clarified. Brian took good notes, and I will if we do need something, we'll reach out to council and see that. Like I said, I know that there is a desire to get this resolved, particularly in light of metering requirements by ecology, everything else. People want clarity. I think, Dan, you probably are aware, there are a lot of people that are now very animated amongst the purveyors regarding this new metering requirement.
Well, just, and it makes, after your discussion with them, it makes sense. But how they approached it and some of the language kind of set it up to your first reaction.
And
yes.
I like the Eastern Region Water Resources folks, but I still don't think they've been 100% transparent still with some of the things. So there could be more work to be done. All right, so that concludes item E, and that concludes our action items for this evening. So our reports. First report is a 2024 report by council members BC and Color a report by council members BC and Color regarding the 2024 State Auditor's Office audit report for the city of Millville. You guys can arm wrestle over it, but take it away.
Do you want me to read it?
I mean, I don't even think we need to read it. It was, the request was made for a written form on behalf of some council members and on behalf of citizens, like, hey, we know that the finance committee's been doing a lot of stuff since, throughout the summer and into the fall. Could you please summarize that for us? And I know it's been reported out, every item on here's been reported out publicly, but if people wanted a written document that kind of just very plainly put what we have done as a finance committee and by extension the council. Sorry.
No good. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's a written summary of what's happened. Essentially, we gave all the information to relevant parties, and we are looking forward to closing out the audit findings during the next audit.
Correct. And then we also talked a little bit about the third-party assessment since we are currently reported out and just, what we've done to that, the procedural reforms around the credit card. And we also included, thank you, Brian, the actual ordinances that covered all these different actions, the starting of our finance committee, which by the way, meets the first Monday of the month at 2:30, so we've made that now a permanent fixture, and we hired a new treasurer. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Appreciate the update.
Excellent, well, thank you very much. So, our next report is the treasurer's report by Mr. Armstrong.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I need to start with something that I haven't followed for years, and that is girls' high school soccer. But I need to formally acknowledge the fact that Millwood High School girls team won the state 2A championship over my high school out of Vancouver, Washington.
Oh, no wonder that's why you were following.
That's why I was following.
Go West Valley.
So West Valley High School girls defeated Columbia River High School 2-0. They went the entire season undefeated and did not give up a goal.
Wow.
And that is astounding. Since I coached soccer
Yeah,
for 10 years.
Dave lived on some soccer fields for many years, and then tried to coach this guy on how to coach girls soccer and realized he was done coaching.
Well, he asked me to coach. I said, I'm retired. And the next time he calls him, I'm retired.
Yeah, he ain't taking your calls no more.
Call Lynn. So the treasurer's report that was in the packet included the dashboard. I went back and looked at the dashboard. One of the first ones I think I presented was June. And the budget number was a number that was, I'm going, I didn't know what this budget number is. So that maybe explains why a big change. But before you get to the end of the year, everything gets tighter. So we have approximately $2 million. If everything cleared, we've got $2 million. We're outstanding at approximately $1 million from WashDOT, so that will come in. Massive expenditures going out, I don't see going forward. And the dashboard, which I included this time in the treasurer's report, rather than at a finance committee, just so everybody could see it, comparing, I think 24 to 26, 24 to 25, 25 budget, 24 to 25 basically is what the dashboard has. So, and I included that in your packet so you can see what we're doing. I will pass along everything that I don't know to Lynn. And Lynn and I have worked together before. It will be a great working relationship, and she picks up things very quickly. So,
Questions? So actually, I'd like to take a minute. Lynn, would you like to introduce yourself to the council and for the meeting? Would you mind coming up and saying hello?
I will help her with the first thing. Her last name is pronounced Sharp. I will help her with it. My wife says I correct people too much, but I'm gonna help you on that one.
Thank you. I've spent probably the last about 25 years of my career. 18 of those years have been with Endurus, a public entity risk pool like WCIA. And a year of that was at the airport, so I spent about 19 years in government. And then I took a little breaks in between there and worked for URM Stores and Rosars, which URM owns Rosars. And that's kind of where I've been the last 25 years of my career. I'm a proud Eastern Washington University Eagles graduate. That's right. And my family, we live out in the West Plains, out by Airway Heights. And we, speaking of PFAS, are part of that PFAS adventure out there, unfortunately. And for fun, my activities, I like to play in my kayak, like to be in the water, and play with my granddaughter. And I was telling Shauna and Sean that I like to do fun runs. I do not run. I walk them, but I like to do them. So, do you have any questions for me about what I've done, what I do, what I haven't done, what I should do?
Are you a CPA?
I am a CPA, yes.
Okay.
I got my license back in a while ago.
I understand. Thanks.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, and look forward to you joining the city of Millwood. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm very much looking forward to it.
Thanks.
Excellent. So next is our clerk, public records, and code enforcement, and we are asking both Ms. Castles and Ms. Roderick to give that report as the outgoing clerk and the incoming clerk.
You get to go first.
Oh, I did? Okay. Well, Kinsey did the entire meeting all herself this time, so that was very good. So I will ask, since I am going to be leaving, my request is that please get the information to her as early as possible. It makes things so much easier. So that's my ask. Do that, for her. That would be very nice. We've been working a lot on just trying to get things moved over, wrapped up, figuring out how emails are gonna go, getting logins to everything, getting the right people on the right places, and getting things that haven't been working to work. And that in itself has been challenging. But we're working on that. We made great progress today, I felt, and getting Lynn on board is great. So we're super excited about that. Just going through papers and trying to get everything ready to leave. It's hard. It's kind of like, I feel like, kids are going off to college and I've got to get them all ready. So I'm having a hard time. It'll be hard to be gone. I will miss you all. Thanks.
I want to say thank you to Lisa for all of her hard work and dedication for the last while. 8 years, and Lisa's done a fantastic job of coming in and taking on responsibility and working through a number of situations and never said no to anything that was asked of her, and has always done a much more than competent job on everything she has done, and has been a great employee and a great asset for the city. We will miss her, and hopefully you will not drown on the west side. So, and it is city will be lacking without you, but wish you all the best. Wish you and Tim all the best on the other side of the state. So thank you very much. Other comments, questions for questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.
And Snohomish County's just 2 counties below Whatcom County, so no drinks.
Oh, there you go. Great. So, Kenzie, do you have anything to say?
The only other thing I was gonna add is that we have Bridget as well. And
Yes.
Bridget is wonderful. She's been doing really well. She's catching on super quick. So I think our girly office is going to be so much fun. Even though we'll miss Dave when he eventually leaves us.
Yeah.
And I'm not looking at Lisa because I don't want to also get emotional. So
There's still the guys downstairs.
no, we have the girly office upstairs. They stay downstairs.
Gosh.
Stay out of the girly office as much as possible.
Uh-huh.
So to be clear, there's nothing declared girly or boily in this.
That's
Just making sure the record's clear.
And it's gonna be a good time. But yeah, we're shaping up to have a good office, I think. Even though we will miss Lisa, and that's all I'm gonna say.
The one thing I didn't want to say is, or have the question, how are we coming on our our 2 large public records requests?
Well, I have been emailing with Brian, and I think we're really close to completion with the first 2 that were the largest. I think we have a pretty good handle on both of those. We still may have to extend those just due to the redaction that has to happen through Brian's office. So though that will be that's the tough part. The other 3 I think will be a little bit easier than these first 2. They were massive.
I am still working through my
I know.
search terms.
And that's 27,000, come on.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, me too.
That's
I'm searching mine as well. These are Citizens have a right to make requests for public records. These aren't a search for really anything specific. These are, I want any and all records regarding Argonne project, any and all records regarding traffic calming. Those have been significant topics for the city, and it takes time. So we have been providing records in installments as they become ready and available. I think we have a large installment that's going to be going out that we're about ready to do.
Yeah.
But I think I'll say it. These have a bit of a spite element to them, again, citizens have the right to request, but there's consequences to those requests, and it takes time. It takes staff time, takes legal time to ensure that they're redacted accordingly. So it's a process. So yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for anyone on that? On anything? Excellent. So, Mr. Shuey, facilities.
Well, we survived another leaf season. Last year we had a total of 66 loads of leaves. This year it's a little bit lighter with 46 loads. Out of the 46 loads that we did this year, we only ended up having to pay to dump 11 of them. All the others I was able to find homes for free. Just to cover a couple of things that you guys approved at your special meeting last month. I'm in the process of getting all new door seals installed on all the roll-up doors because some of them never had proper seals on to start with, and others have deteriorated over time. The same with the gutters on the shop. They were the best gutters that they could put on at the time, made of steel, but until 30 years later they realized that now they're starting to fail due to rusting out, which is what ours are doing. So they're actually coming out tomorrow to put on some aluminum ones. You also approved a self-contained solar-powered radar sign for Argonne. The one down here by the Millwood Mart was taken out a couple weeks before the Argonne project started by a hit-and-run accident. So, got that going. We also are going to be needing another one identical to that on the south side up by the Farmers Insurance Agency. It's also been hit a couple times over the last 7 to 8 years, and we've band-aided it back together, and it's currently not working. And of course they're telling me now that it's all antiquated old technology that's not supported anymore. So I'd be looking to get another one of those here sooner than later. I noticed, I think it's important to have them because I don't know if you've noticed or not, but people are still flying through here regardless of whether it's a little dark down there and there's new medians and islands and obstructions and lane shifts, and they're still flying through there. So we're going to try to get them slowed down. Spent the last couple weeks doing a deep clean on the trucks and the machines from leaf season, and we're currently in the process of swapping everything over for de-icing and snow. This morning I had AAA come out with a Vector truck to suck out a few problematic dry wells. One of them included was the one on Argonne that was mentioned by a resident at the last meeting about standing water down there. It's still taking a lot of the water, but if we get a large enough downpour, like we did like last Thursday, it does back up. When the rain subsides for a little while, it will perk and go down. So it doesn't leave standing water for extended periods of time. But after sucking it out today, I think it might have bought us some time, but it wasn't a permanent solution. So I'm going to have that on my radar before we do any more paving or anything substantial down there. Lastly, update on the final phase of the Argonne project. I've met with the engineers and Avista a couple weeks ago to try to figure out some sort of temporary lighting for that area down there. And Avista thought maybe they had some temp poles we could use that would mount on the permanent bases we just installed. They got back to us and said they didn't have anything that would mount on there, unfortunately. The county or nobody seems to be able to piecemeal anything enough together to get it done. So I don't think we're going to be able to come up with any kind of temp lighting before they actually just come out and do the rest of the job. The rest of the final items break down like this. So there'll be a couple people out in the next week to do some of the electrical work required for the street lighting. We are still waiting for the light poles, which are on track to arrive at the end of December. Then in early January, the light pole installation and activation will happen. And then crews will be back in on the 2nd of February to do the final signalization poles and installation. And Union Pacific crews are supposed to be showing up on the 4th of February to do the signal switch over and their final cabinet work on their stuff. If the railroad wasn't in the equation, we would be able to get the signalization stuff done sooner. They were originally thinking around the 11th of January to do that, but the railroad has informed us that they don't have a cutover crew available now until the 4th of February, so that's kind of what's holding us up. The engineer did tell me this afternoon that if everything goes to plan, we are hoping to have a substantial completion date of February 9th. So I'm hoping that once everything gets in a rhythm, it should go pretty quick and be done. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Questions for Kyle?
I haven't got out to look, but as the road turns down there, will there be additional lighting between Bridgeport and the river?
I believe there is a pole down there, yes, on the east side.
And is it, could we do some reflective, I don't know what you call them, little bumps in the road down there? Because it is hard to see at night, and even with lighting, you know, as the lanes change, you know, is there something, you know, of course, that's snow time, that's good.
I was gonna say, I'm kind of curious to see how we have some of those stick and stomps that we put down personally up there on Empire. I don't know how those would hold up if we ever do get snow, but that might actually be a good idea. I just don't know, you know, once we start scraping over them, if they would last. Doesn't look like there's any snow in the foreseeable future, but we could probably maybe get some of those stuck down there if you guys want to.
Are they pretty expensive?
We have some. We have some. We have a big box of them left over from Empire, so there wouldn't be any cost of it.
Yeah, I would think it's something to help. Oh yeah, there's the lane.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be able to do that. That's a good idea.
Good. Thank you.
So on the Argonne Road, because you just gave a different date than I think people have heard before, February 9th, I know that our newsletter deadline is December 20th, to preferred earlier. Would you be willing to just do like 3 bullets like what you said, just so we can help manage that expectation?
Yeah, absolutely.
Under the Director of Public Works title, of course.
Any other questions? Excellent. Mr. Erdahl, utilities.
Okay, so after our previous bad samples we're getting back in our level 1 assessment, all samples came back good this last month, so hopefully we'll be in the clear. Going forward on that, Kyle and I did a webinar through MRSC for the Public Works rosters update. We blew out all our irrigation lines and pulled all the backflows for wintertime. And then I did finish up our water facilities inventory, got that sent off to DOH. And also the measuring device information for Department of Ecology, I got that sent in. Waiting to hear back from them for the portal and all the information on that. That's in, and sewer.
Any questions for Matt? Thank you very much. So Amanda has her planning report in here, and it sounds like we know what Amanda's going to be doing for the next year. So you got that, and then that brings us to our legal report, Mr. Worst.
There's nothing to report that hasn't otherwise been addressed on the agenda. The mayor-elect and I have set a time to kind of talk about, you know, just to start to briefing about things as we start moving forward. I think you guys have had discussions as well, so we're moving in a transition period. I guess the only thing I just want to say is, Lisa, thank you very much. Love to work with you. Kevin, thank you very much for your service. So that's all I got. Unless you have any questions.
Questions for Brian? Mayor report, final mayor report. Trying to work through the urban stuff and just be working with Shauna to do an orderly transfer and much of a data dump as is possible. It has been a pleasure to sit in this chair for 12 years. I appreciate the faith that people put in me for that time. I am very proud of what the city has accomplished during that time. I know that some folks are not always happy when things change, but I do, as I've told everyone, that it is much more important to set the table for the future. We are here, but we are also stewards for what comes after us, and have been very pleased to have such great support from council, from city staff, from legal, from a majority of citizens, from folks in the community who value Millwood. We have incredible support from our other jurisdictions around us, our other local agencies. There's a lot of good work that was done here, and it may not seem sometimes like it, but good work does get noticed. And by doing good work, you have good relationships with folks. People know that we do quality government here in the city, and that we care about what we are doing here. And so that is a good thing. And so I've had it's been a pleasure, and I wish the best to Shauna sitting here. I wish council all the best. It's been great working with Dave while he's been here. Matt and Kyle. I will continue to blow all my leaves into the middle of the street, and you guys can figure it out. I am gonna miss Lisa. I am really proud of Lisa's work in and getting Kinsey and Bridget and now Lynn joining staff. We are back to a full complement of folks up here, and I think it's really good chemistry. It's gonna work very well. People are excited being here. People are doing good work. Had a blast working with Mr. Worst the entire time. And just a lot of different things. So wish you all the best in the future. And I don't know if I'll be as good as Dan Mork as to just go away peacefully if I see something weird. But it is not. I am going to head south and play with cows more than stick around here and wonder what's going on so much. I've got work that needs to get done. So thank you all very much.
Look forward to your service.
Thank you.
Mayor, 27 years. That is incredible. So I feel very similar to when Paul left. You were really part of my childhood. No, but seriously, over a quarter century is an amazing. You've left your fingerprint on the place, and it's appreciated.
Yeah.
It is.
Beyond Millwood, I mean,
Congratulations.
you think about the other community boards. There's been Board of Health. There's been STA. There's been Clean Air. You know, it's. I love working with public agencies, but I can't think of anybody that I know of that I've worked with that's had a run of 27 years.
Well, all I know was the highest compliment I got from the inlander ever was during but I think it was for STA. They were talking about how, or no, they were something that came up.
It was the interview, and it was the outsized
yes, the
influence
outsized
that
influence that Millwood exerted, and I was like, oh yeah, exactly. So so absolutely the outsized influence that Millwood had on regional government. So that was the compliment that I took with me. But it has been. I wish everyone could have the experience of seeing what it's like to make the sausage, and not just stand outside of it. And it's and I know for you five and Tina, you'll get to see this too. it is not that change that comes. It's not fair to suddenly become the other. These elected officials, you people, all this stuff is like, oh no. I still pay my taxes. When we raise the property taxes, we raise it for ourselves. When we raise the water rates, we raise them for ourselves. We don't do this stuff lightly. And this idea that somehow that lizard people from someplace came and showed up and run the government and it's us and them. It's like, when you get here and you see what has to be done to keep something like this running, the compromises and the decisions and the just the work that goes into putting asphalt down, keeping lights up, making sure that when you flush the toilet it goes away. I think that people have gotten very, very disconnected from what a municipality and government actually provides. I get to go places where there isn't that infrastructure, and it's like, no infrastructure at a cholera outbreak. It doesn't take much, we get a great ability to live a peaceful and productive and happy life, and a lot of that just starts right here. And so folks who do this work, folks who take this on, people who give up their time for little pay and most often negative recognition, those people do a significant service for I know it sounds silly, our way of life. The way of life that we have come to not just enjoy, but in some respects expect, and that's not always a good thing. Just expecting something without understanding it is not always good. So I wish everyone could have this. But see no sausage made, maybe it's time to change your diet. So that's what I am doing. I am changing my diet.
Vegetarian now.
Alright, so we have no council information. I do have one question. How'd the tree lighting ceremony go, or was it just very, very wet?
No, it was nice.
Did
it stop raining?
It was wet.
It was wet.
And as you stepped off the sidewalk at both entrances, and it's nice to have both entrances, there's mud, and not just a little mud, but mud. But
is that in the budget to receive that?
no, it's on that side of the fence.
Oh, it's on that side? Oh, okay, well, we're done with that now. Alright, so it sounds like another tree lighting went well.
Was one more thing, they sold out for booth space.
Oh, good.
They were, they're busy setting up there in the rain, and then because of the rain, there were 3 or 4 in the Masonic Hall, the library, and the little lady with how she makes all this stuff, I don't know. So it was good.
Awesome.
Good.
So public remarks. Do we have any public remarks? Anyone? Second call for public remarks. Third and final call for public remarks. Seeing no one step forward, we will go.
Tina's still public.
What?
Tina's still public.
Yeah, sure.
Did you have? I didn't see it.
Merry Christmas.
There we go.
Council remarks. We'll start with Mr. Stravens.
Merry Christmas. Kevin, thank you for your service. It's been great.
Appreciate it.
Lisa, thank you very much. Good luck.
Mr. Sanders.
Well, same thoughts. Lisa, you've been through a lot here. And we appreciate you hanging in there with us.
Thank you.
So, good luck there. And Kevin,
Thank you.
just thinking back at the things we've accomplished,
It has been, a lot got done. So, it's I think Shauna has the harder lift than me though, because now Shauna, you gotta get people excited about development and building big mixed use buildings and all that stuff. That is a
Well, there is one more thing.
Yes.
Can you do something about the Seattle Bank?
Just take.
And you've got, what, 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks to get somebody in that bank.
Yeah.
Get some income coming in.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, if you would read the deed restrictions before you'd buy it, maybe you wouldn't get in these situations. Mr. Culler.
Kevin, it was an honor serving with you on city council way back in the day, and working with you as mayor. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Lisa, thank you for being the rock over the last 8 years. We will miss you.
I miss you too.
Ms. Bisi.
Merry Christmas. Thank you, Lisa. Of course, thank you, Mayor. Congratulations to Len for treasurer. Congratulations to Kenzie for the clerk, and congratulations to Kyle for public works, because I think that this is really a significant change moving forward and such. So nothing but positive feelings, and if you guys will let me make the motion to adjourn at the end, I would appreciate it.
So our announcements would be
You wanna see if Andy has anything?
Andy, are you even there?
I
think Andy fell asleep.
Okay.
Oh. Go.
And I just thank Rob calling her during the day. We had a great fun. And it's fun working with you, it was fun working with you, Gavin. And Merry Christmas to everybody, and be pretty quick.
Excellent. Well, be safe down there and hope you're not freezing too bad. Hey. Andy will turn on.
Yeah.
All right, so announcements. We have Christmas coming up. So what is the holiday schedule for the remainder of the year? Just to get that out there.
Closing at 1:00 on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and then the day after Christmas is Christmas on Thursday, so the office will be closed on the 26th as well.
Taking Boxing Day. So those are our announcements. So for City Hall, the week of Christmas will be a short week. Let's see. So setting the next meeting. Mayor Bisi, would you like to set the next meeting?
Yes, the next meeting is on
January 13th.
January 13th at 6:00. There will be a little slight change to our agenda, but nothing, it's just literally gonna have a strategic theme at the top, so, but yeah.
And so with that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
For a second.
Oh, Andy seconded.
Oh, Andy seconded.
Yeah, Andy.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye. This meeting is adjourned. Happy holidays, everyone.